If she's not interested, she's already showing you. You're just not seeing it. Let's be honest, most men don't get rejected with words. They get rejected with silence, coldness, delays, or vague excuses. And because she never says, "I'm not into you," we cling to hope. We interpret her mixed signals as mystery, her distance as shyness, her flakiness as being busy. But the truth? She's already made up her mind, and you're just refusing to see it. This happens to good men, mature, grounded men who lead stable lives, who are emotionally generous. You put in effort, you try to be consistent, but no matter what you do, something feels off. And it keeps nagging at you. One moment she's warm, the next she's ice cold. You find yourself constantly wondering where you stand, constantly second-guessing yourself. That confusion isn't love. It's your intuition trying to wake you up. Today, we're cutting through the noise. No more guessing, no more waiting on replies that never come, or energy that never matches yours. In this video, I'll walk you through 10 specific signs she's just not into you, and why recognizing them early is a man's greatest act of self-respect. This isn't about bitterness, it's about clarity. Let's get into it. Number 1. She delays or ignores your messages. When a woman is interested, her behavior is obvious. She makes time. She replies quickly. She wants the interaction to keep flowing. But when she's not interested, her actions tell a very different story, and one of the clearest signs is how she handles your messages. Think about it. You send her a text in the morning, maybe something light, maybe just checking in. Hours pass, no reply. You tell yourself she's busy. Maybe she's in a meeting. Maybe her phone died. Then the reply finally comes late that evening. "Sorry, I've been swamped." But the message is short, cold. It doesn't invite more conversation. And deep down, you feel it, the energy isn't there. Let me give you an example. Robert, 55, from Dallas, recently started seeing Laura, 51, a paralegal. They met through mutual friends, went on a few dates, and had decent chemistry at first. Robert was excited, hopeful, and consistent. But every time he reached out, Laura's replies came later and later. At first it was a few hours, then a full day, then 2. The excuses kept piling up. Crazy busy with work, family stuff came up, didn't see your message. And when she did reply, her texts were short, with no follow-up questions, no effort to keep the conversation alive. Robert tried to rationalize it. He told himself she was stressed, overwhelmed, distracted. But the truth was clear. If she had been genuinely interested, she would have found a way to engage. Because women who care don't ignore. They don't leave you hanging unless they want to send a message of their own. They're not invested. Men often misread this. We think if we just send a funnier text or a more thoughtful message, she'll suddenly become engaged again. But interest doesn't work that way. It doesn't need to be earned with effort. It shows up naturally, without prompting. And if it's missing, no amount of persistence will create it. Here's the harsh truth: when a woman consistently delays or ignores your messages, she's showing you where you stand, and it's not at the top of her list. You may not want to accept that. You may want to believe she's just busy, but we both know this. People make time for what matters to them. If you mattered, you'd see it. Laura eventually admitted to Robert that she wasn't really looking for something serious, and while that hurt, the signs had been there all along. Her silence spoke louder than her words ever did. Robert realized later that he wasted weeks chasing someone who was never going to show up fully. This is where self-respect comes in. When she delays or ignores your messages, don't fill the silence with more effort. Don't double text. Don't beg for clarity. Let her distance speak for itself, because your energy is valuable, and giving it to someone who can't even send a timely response is the fastest way to devalue yourself. If this resonates with you, if you've ever dealt with delayed replies that told you everything you needed to know, drop this in the comments. I know my worth. And remember this, clarity doesn't come from waiting longer. It comes from paying attention sooner. Once you start honoring those early signs, you stop wasting time on what's fading and start saving your energy for someone who actually wants to be there. Number 2, she always has excuses not to meet. When a woman truly wants to see you, she makes it happen. Busy schedule or not, she finds the time. Even if it's just grabbing coffee for 20 minutes, she makes the effort because being with you matters. But when she doesn't, the excuses start piling up. And that's one of the clearest signs she's not interested. At first, the excuses sound believable. She's swamped with work. Her family needs her. She's not feeling well. Life does get busy, sure. But if every time you suggest meeting, there's suddenly another reason she can't, you're not a priority. You're an option she keeps on the side until something better fits her mood. Here's the key difference. A woman who values you will rearrange things for you. A woman who doesn't will never bend her schedule because she doesn't feel the need. The sad truth is that excuses are rarely about time, they're about interest. When she tells you she's too busy to meet for weeks, what she's really saying is, I don't want to give you my time. Men often fall into the trap of rationalizing. We tell ourselves, she's just overwhelmed right now. Once things calm down, she'll make time. But deep down, we know that when someone cares, they don't postpone indefinitely. They make it happen. And when they don't, that's a reality check. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if something is difficult for you, do not assume it is impossible for all. In relationships, flip this. If meeting up feels impossible for her, don't assume it's that way for everyone. It's not. It's just not important enough to her. The truth is, she's not too busy to meet someone she's genuinely excited about. She's just not excited enough to meet you. Think about it. How many times have you seen her rearrange her schedule for something she wanted? A concert, a trip, drinks with her friends. Somehow, the time appears. That's the power of priority, and you're seeing, in real time, where you stand in hers. Excuses are a soft rejection. They let her avoid confrontation while still keeping you around in case she changes her mind. It's not cruel, it's just human nature. But the longer you ignore it, the more energy you waste waiting on something that isn't coming. So what do? You stop chasing. You stop asking again and again. You pay attention to actions, not words. If she wanted to see you, she would. And if she doesn't, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is accept that. It's not about punishing her. It's about protecting your time. Because your time is your most valuable resource, and every hour you spend waiting on excuses is an hour you could be spending on yourself, your goals, or with someone who actually values your presence. Excuses tell you everything you need to know. The only question is whether you're willing to listen. If you've ever recognized this pattern and chosen to step back instead of waiting on another excuse, say it in the comments. I choose respect. And remember, clarity doesn't come from what she says, it comes from what she does. Once you start honoring the truth in her actions, you'll never waste energy on excuses again. And that shift changes not just how you deal with women, but how you deal with life itself. Number 3. The conversation feels one-sided. One of the clearest signs she's not interested is when every conversation feels like a chore. You're the one initiating. You're the one carrying the dialogue, and she's giving you the bare minimum short replies, no follow-up, no genuine curiosity. When the weight of the interaction falls entirely on your shoulders, that's not chemistry, that's disinterest. Let's look at an example. David, 54, from Florida, met Angela, 50, through an online dating app. At first, the connection seemed promising. They exchanged a few thoughtful messages, even had one phone call that lasted almost an hour. David thought it was a good sign. But after that, every conversation turned flat. Whenever he texted her, her replies came hours later and looked like this: lol, that's nice, or yeah, maybe. No questions back, no effort to continue. David tried to spark things by sharing stories, even sending pictures of his hikes, hoping she'd engage. But Angela never asked a single thing about his life. The energy was one way. Here's the truth: when a woman is interested, you feel it in the exchange. She'll ask questions, she'll laugh, build on what you say, or offer her own thoughts. Conversation flows naturally because she wants to know you. But when she doesn't, it feels like pulling teeth. You're putting in effort, and she's just letting it pass. This is where men often get stuck. We confuse politeness with interest. Just because she replies doesn't mean she's engaged. Some women don't want to be rude, so they respond with minimal effort, but minimal effort tells you everything. She's not invested, she's not leaning in, she's just passing time. When you ignore this, you start working harder to earn her attention. You send longer texts, you share more details, you double down on humor. But the imbalance grows. And what happens? You lose respect for yourself, because deep down, you know you're carrying something she doesn't care to hold. Think about the difference. When you're talking to a woman who's genuinely interested, you don't have to try so hard. You could say something simple, and she'll run with it. You mention your favorite book, and she'll ask why. You share a funny story, and she'll add her own. That's investment. That's energy flowing both ways. Angela eventually faded completely, and David realized the truth. He wasn't being rejected in words, but in effort. And that's the point. Words can lie, effort doesn't. As Epictetus once said, what stands in the way becomes the way. When conversation feels one-sided, don't see it as something to push through. See it as the way forward. A signal that it's time to stop investing in someone who isn't investing in you. So here's the rule. If you're always the one asking, explaining, and keeping the dialogue alive, you're not in a conversation, you're in a performance. And you deserve better than being someone's entertainer. If you've ever caught yourself doing all the talking and finally stepped back, write it in the comments. I respect my energy. And remember, this clarity doesn't always come through silence. Sometimes it comes through words that don't mean anything. Pay attention to the imbalance, because when you stop forcing conversation, you'll see just how much power you actually have. Number 4. She avoids being alone with you. Here's one of the clearest signs a woman isn't interested. She never lets herself be alone with you. She'll talk in groups, she'll hang out at parties, she'll meet you if her friends are there. But the moment it's just the two of you, she finds a reason to back out. Think about it. When someone is genuinely excited to see you, they don't need a crowd, they don't need a buffer. They'll look forward to time together, even if it's as simple as coffee after work. Alone time is where intimacy builds, where chemistry reveals itself. If she keeps avoiding those moments, it's because she doesn't want that connection to grow. This is where many men lie to themselves. They say, she's just shy, or she's being careful. And sure, some women do take things slow, but there's a difference between moving slow and avoiding intimacy altogether. If weeks go by and she still won't spend real time alone with you, the message is clear. She's comfortable in casual settings, but she doesn't see you as someone she wants to build with. When she avoids being alone with you, it's not about her being busy, it's about her being uninterested. Time is the one resource we can't fake. If she doesn't give it freely, it's because she doesn't feel the need. The Stoics understood this in a broader sense. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Apply this to relationships. You're not short on time, you're wasting it on someone who refuses to give you theirs. Her avoidance isn't an accident, it's a choice, and every choice reveals priority. Let's break it down further. If she invites you out only when others are around, that's distance. If she never accepts one-on-one plans, that's avoidance. If she cancels the moment she realizes it would just be the two of you, that's rejection without words. She may not say, "I'm not interested," but her behavior screams it. Here's what you need to understand. Closeness doesn't happen in groups, Attraction doesn't deepen through small talk over background noise. If she truly saw potential, she'd want the quiet moments. She'd crave the space where she could look at you without distraction. And if she avoids that, she's avoiding more than just time. She's avoiding the possibility of you. This is why paying attention matters. Men waste months chasing group hangouts, mistaking casual presence for genuine interest. They tell themselves, "At least she invited me out." But an invitation without intimacy is not connection, it's convenience. So what do you do when you notice this pattern? You don't beg for more, you don't pressure her to meet. You take the hint, you step back, because a woman who wants to be with you will make space for you. And one who doesn't, she'll make excuses. And that's not rejection, it's redirection. It's a sign that your energy belongs elsewhere. Somewhere it will be met, not avoided. If you've ever stopped chasing a woman who refused to give you her time, say it in the comments. I value my time. And here's the truth. Once you stop ignoring the signs, you realize how much freedom you gain. Because knowing when not to push is just as powerful as knowing when to pursue. And that shift changes how you see not just women but yourself. Number 5. Her body language turns cold. Sometimes words don't tell the whole story, but the body always does. When a woman is interested, her body language pulls her closer. She leans in when you talk. Her eyes light up. She smiles without effort. Even small touches on the arm, the shoulder show connection. But when she's not interested, all of that disappears. Her body language turns cold, and you can feel it. Let's take an example. Michael, 58, from Chicago, met Jennifer, 52, at a charity fundraiser. At first, their conversations flowed well. But as the weeks went on, Michael began to notice something different. Whenever they sat together, Jennifer's body seemed closed off. She crossed her arms. She angled her chair slightly away from him. Her eyes darted around the room instead of holding his gaze. And when he reached out with light touches, just a gentle tap on the hand, she subtly pulled back. Nothing dramatic, but enough to feel the shift. This is what cold body language looks like. It's not always obvious rejection. It's subtle distance, less warmth, less openness. And while Michael wanted to believe it was stress or distraction, the truth was simpler. Jennifer wasn't invested anymore. Here's why this matters. Women rarely say outright, "I'm not attracted to you." Most don't want to hurt feelings. Instead, they let their bodies send the message. And if you ignore it, you'll spend weeks or months chasing someone who already checked out. Think about the difference. When a woman is drawn to you, her body makes it clear. She'll lean closer, even when she doesn't realize it. She'll mirror your gestures. She'll make eye contact that lasts a little too long. That's her subconscious showing interest. But when her body closes off, it's her subconscious rejecting connection. And that's not something you can fix with clever words or persistence. Men often struggle here because we want to rationalize. We tell ourselves, maybe she's just tired, or maybe she's not a touchy person. And sure, sometimes that's true. But if her body language is consistently distant around you, while warm and open with others, the message is clear. She's capable of warmth, she just doesn't feel it for you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly. If you cannot, blame yourself or not at all." Apply that here. If her body says no, don't argue with it. Don't blame her. Don't blame yourself. Just accept it. Her energy isn't aligned with yours, and that's okay. Walking away with dignity is far more powerful than forcing something that isn't there. Michael eventually stopped pushing. He noticed the pattern, accepted the truth, and chose to redirect his time. And the relief he felt was real. No more wondering. No more mixed signals. Just clarity. That's the gift of body language. It doesn't lie. It tells you the truth faster than words ever will. The only question is whether you're willing to see it. So here's your rule. Pay attention not just to what she says, but how she moves. If her body turns cold, Don't chase the warmth. Step back. Because a woman who's truly interested won't need to be convinced to lean in, she'll do it naturally. If you've ever read the truth in her body before her words, say it in the comments. I see the signs. And once you start trusting what her energy shows you, not what you hope she feels, you'll never waste time trying to warm up someone who's already gone cold. That's when you step into clarity, and clarity always puts you back in control. Number 6. She openly flirts with other men. When a woman is truly interested in you, her attention narrows. Even if she's social, even if she has plenty of options, she makes sure you feel like the priority. But when she's not, her focus drifts. And one of the strongest signs is when she openly flirts with other men right in front of you. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about patterns. If you're out with her, and she constantly directs her energy toward other guys, laughing a little too much at their jokes, leaning in closer, touching their arm while barely acknowledging you, it's not subtle. It's deliberate. She's showing you where her interest lies, and it isn't with you. Men often brush this off. We tell ourselves she's just being friendly, that she's naturally social, that she doesn't realize what she's doing. But let's be real. Women know exactly what message they're sending with body language, tone, and focus. And if she's doing it in front of you, it's not an accident. It's a sign. The painful part is that many men tolerate it, out of fear of confrontation or out of hope that her attention will swing back. But the more you tolerate it, the more you signal that you'll accept being second choice. And nothing kills respect faster than showing you're willing to compete for what should already be yours. Think of the contrast. When a woman is genuinely drawn to you, other men fade into the background. She may be polite, but she doesn't invite their energy in. She doesn't fuel their attention, because her focus is already claimed. You don't have to wonder, you just feel it. That's investment. That's attraction. So why do women flirt with other men when they're not interested in you? Sometimes it's to create distance without having to say the words. Sometimes it's to test your response, to see if you'll lose your cool or maintain composure. And sometimes it's just because they don't see you as the one they want, so they feel no obligation to center their attention. Here's where Stoicism gives you the edge. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Her flirting isn't something you control. Your reaction is. You can either spiral, confront, and cling, or you can observe, accept, and decide. Because once you see it clearly, the choice becomes simple. Don't fight for someone whose energy is elsewhere. The hardest part is swallowing that truth without ego. Many men think, if I just prove myself, if I stand out more, she'll notice me again. But attraction doesn't work like that. It's not earned through effort, it's drawn through alignment. And if she's openly showing you she's invested elsewhere, that's alignment you can't manufacture. So what's the move? You don't beg for attention. You don't compete. You don't lower yourself to win back what she's already given away. You step back. You let her choices reveal her interest or lack of it. And you remind yourself that respect means more than her validation. Because here's the truth. The woman who truly wants you won't make you fight for her focus. She won't play games with other men just to see how much you'll tolerate. She'll show you where her loyalty is clearly, consistently, without doubt. If you've ever refused to chase a woman who gave her energy to other men, say it in the comments. I choose respect. And when you learn to stop fighting for attention that's already gone, you'll realize something powerful. What you don't chase often finds its way back. But by then, you'll be the one deciding if it's even worth it. Number 7. She only calls when she needs something. One of the most draining patterns you'll ever notice with a woman who isn't interested is this. She doesn't reach out because she misses you, because she wants to share something, or because she's excited to hear your voice. She calls only when she needs something. A favor, a ride, help with a project, maybe even just a boost of attention when she's bored. And when that's done, she's gone again. Let's take a real scenario. Stephen, 54, from Houston, met Karen, 50, at a friend's birthday dinner. They exchanged numbers, and at first Stephen thought things were going well. But after a few weeks, he noticed a strange pattern. Karen never called just to talk. She never reached out to set up a date. Instead, her calls always came with a request. "Hey, can you take a look at my laptop? It's acting weird." Or, "Are you free to help me move a few boxes this weekend?" Once, she even asked if he could drive her to the airport. And each time, Stephen said yes because he liked her, and he hoped that by helping, she'd see his value. But here's the truth: she already saw his value. She just didn't see it in a romantic way. To her, Stephen was reliable, a safe bet, someone she could lean on when it was convenient, but not someone she wanted to invest in. And as much as that stung, her behavior was sending the message loud and clear. She wasn't interested in building a relationship. She was interested in using access. This is where men often mislead themselves. We think, well, at least she's calling me, at least I'm part of her life. But if she only reaches out when she needs something, you're not her priority. You're her resource. You're the backup plan that fills in the gaps of her life, but never the center of it. When you step back and look at it objectively, it's simple. A woman who truly values you won't only reach out when it benefits her. She'll call just to hear your voice. She'll text because she thought of you. She'll make plans because she wants to spend time with you, not just because she needs something done. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Apply this here. You don't control whether she uses you as a convenience, but you do control how you respond. You can either keep saying yes, draining yourself for someone who doesn't see you, or you can protect your energy and step back. Stephen eventually caught on. He realized he hadn't had a single meaningful conversation with Karen that wasn't tied to a request. And once he stopped making himself available for every little favor, her calls disappeared completely. It hurt, but it also gave him clarity. He wasn't losing a woman who cared. He was losing a dynamic that never had potential. And that's the lesson. If her calls only come with a price tag, if she's never reaching out to connect, only to collect, it's not interest, it's convenience, and you deserve more than that. If you've ever recognized this pattern and chosen to pull back, drop it in the comments. I protect my energy. And once you start protecting your time, you realize something important. Love isn't built on convenience. It's built on connection. And the moment you stop confusing the two, everything in your relationships begins to shift. Number 8. She never talks about a future with you. When a woman is genuinely interested, she naturally brings you into her future. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't mean wedding bells or moving in together right away. It shows up in small ways. She says things like, "We should try that restaurant next month," or "When summer comes, let's take a trip." She connects the present to something ahead because she wants to imagine you still there. But when she's not interested, that thread disappears. She avoids talking about anything beyond the moment. Plans stay vague. Everything is maybe, we'll see, or nothing at all. The future is a blank wall, and you're not part of it. This silence about the future is one of the clearest signals a man can pick up, but most don't. Instead, we rationalize. We tell ourselves she's just cautious, that she doesn't want to move too fast. And yes, some women genuinely take their time. But there's a difference between moving slowly and avoiding the future completely. If weeks or months pass and she never once talks about what's ahead with you in it, that's not caution, that's disinterest. Here's the hard truth. Women who see you as temporary don't build forward. They stay in the now because they don't expect you to be there later. You're filling a space in the present, not a role in the future. It's subtle, but powerful. Think about your last conversations. Does she invite you into her upcoming plans? Does she bring up future events and include you? Or do you feel like every meeting is isolated, like nothing connects beyond the moment? That's the difference between a woman who wants you around and one who's just passing time. The Stoics taught clarity through observation. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Applied here, first decide what you want. If you want a real connection, a woman who never places you in her vision isn't aligned with that. She's telling you, without saying it directly, that she doesn't see you as part of her path. Men often make the mistake of trying to force the future into the conversation. They'll drop hints about vacations, holidays, or even family gatherings, hoping she'll grab onto it. But when she avoids, dodges, or keeps things vague, that's not shyness. That's avoidance. And avoidance is an answer. Pay attention to the language. A woman who's interested will make you part of her calendar, her ideas, her goals. A woman who isn't will keep things present only. No invitations, no projections, no us down the line. It's all surface. And here's the truth: you can't argue your way into someone's future. You can't earn your place by pushing harder. The future is something she invites you into freely because she wants you there. And if she doesn't, that's clarity. So what's your move? Accept it. Don't cling to temporary attention, hoping it will turn into something permanent. Don't ignore the silence around tomorrow. Take it for what it is: a sign to step back, to preserve your energy, to invest in someone who actually sees you in their vision. Because at the end of the day, a man of value doesn't beg to be included. He builds a life worth sharing, and he chooses a partner who wants to share it. If you've ever noticed she never spoke about a future and chose to walk away, write it in the comments. I choose clarity. And once you start listening to what isn't being said, you'll see the truth much faster. You won't waste years on someone who only ever saw you as temporary. You'll save yourself for something real. Number 9. She treats attention from you as a backup plan. One of the toughest realities for men to face is this: sometimes you're not her first choice. You're her fallback. You're not the one she's truly excited about, but you're the one she keeps around for comfort when things with her main options don't work out. And the way you know this is clear. She treats your attention as her backup plan. Let's look at an example. Paul, 57, from Arizona, started dating Linda, 52, a divorced nurse. At first, Paul thought things were moving in the right direction. They had dinners, long talks, even some weekends together. But he noticed a strange rhythm. Linda's interest wasn't consistent. Weeks would go by where she was distant, slow to reply, or too busy. Then suddenly, she'd call late at night, wanting company or reassurance. The pattern became obvious. She reached out to Paul when her other options weren't available. When her energy elsewhere failed, she returned to the safety of his attention. This is how being the backup feels. You're not the man she prioritizes. You're the man she keeps warm enough not to lose, but never hot enough to claim. And it's not about what she says, it's about the pattern of how she engages. You're always there when she needs validation, but she's never there when you need consistency. Here's the harsh truth: when a woman values you, you don't feel like a placeholder, you feel like the focus. She makes time, she engages, she builds forward. But when she doesn't, you'll notice your role is reactive. You respond to her moods, her timing, her needs. And deep down, you know it's unbalanced. Men often lie to themselves here. We think, at least she comes back, at least I'm still in the picture. But staying as her backup doesn't make you strong. It makes you dependent on scraps of attention. And every time you accept that role, you lower your own value. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You deserve to live in freedom, so do not waste your days in servitude." Apply that here. If you allow yourself to be her backup, you're choosing servitude to her attention. You're waiting around for her to decide when you matter. And that's not freedom, that's dependency. The moment Paul realized this, everything shifted. He recognized the pattern for what it was. She wasn't confused. She wasn't busy. She was just keeping him in reserve. So he stepped back. He stopped being available on demand. And when he did, Linda faded out. Painful, yes, but freeing. Because he saw the truth. He was never her priority. Here's the lesson. You can't build a meaningful connection with someone who only keeps you as a safety net. Attraction doesn't grow from being convenient. It grows from being chosen. And if you're not being chosen, then you're wasting your energy on the wrong person. If you've ever caught yourself being someone's backup plan and chose to step away, put it in the comments. I choose to be first. And once you embrace that mindset, you'll never settle for being second again. You'll realize that your time, your presence, and your energy are far too valuable to be treated as optional. And that clarity will change not only how you see women, but how you see yourself. Number 10. You feel like a placeholder, not a priority. One of the hardest truths a man has to face is this. Sometimes you're not really in her life, you're just filling space until something better comes along. That's what being a placeholder feels like. She keeps you close enough not to lose you, but never close enough to make you her priority. And if you've ever felt that gnawing emptiness, that sense you're there, but not really there, you already know what I'm talking about. Here's how it shows up. She gives you attention, but only in small, controlled doses. She spends time with you, but only when it fits her schedule. She'll smile, she'll laugh, she'll share pieces of herself, but when you look deeper, you realize something's missing. Commitment, intention, that energy that says, you matter to me. Instead, you get the minimum required to keep you hanging on. Being a placeholder feels like you're standing in line for something that might never open. You're waiting for her to decide if you're worth more, all while she's leaving you in emotional limbo. And the cruel part is, she doesn't have to say anything. Her actions do all the talking. When you're a priority, you feel it. She invests, she initiates, she makes space for you in her future, not just her present. You don't have to wonder where you stand because her effort makes it obvious. But when you're a placeholder, you're always the one wondering, always the one questioning, always the one adjusting yourself just to fit into the tiny space she offers you. Men often ignore this because the attention feels better than nothing. We tell ourselves, at least she's here, at least I'm part of her life. But deep down, you know the truth, you're not her first thought. You're her convenience, and convenience is not love. The Stoics remind us to see reality clearly. Seneca said, "It is better to have no company than to have a bad one." Translate that here, it's better to walk alone than to waste your time being someone's placeholder. Because every day you stay in that role is a day you're not living fully, a day you're postponing the connection you truly deserve. Think about how you feel after spending time with her. Do you leave feeling seen, valued, respected? Or do you leave with more questions than answers, more emptiness than clarity? That feeling matters. It's your intuition telling you the truth. A real connection gives energy. A placeholder roller drains it. And here's the key, being a placeholder doesn't mean you're not valuable. It just means you're investing your value in the wrong place. The fact that she doesn't see you as a priority doesn't define you. It defines the dynamic. And the moment you accept that truth, you take back your power. The men who struggle the most are the ones who hold on, hoping that one day she'll wake up and realize their worth. But attraction and respect don't work that way. If she hasn't made you a priority by now, chances are she won't. And staying in that space only chips away at your confidence and self-respect. So what's the move? You stop waiting. You stop hoping she'll change. You start valuing yourself enough to step away from being someone's placeholder. Because the woman who truly wants you won't make you guess. She won't keep you on standby. She'll show you, clearly, that you are her choice, not her convenience. And that's the difference between living like a man of value and living like a man waiting for permission. The moment you stop tolerating placeholder energy, you make space for something real. You stop being the option and start being the priority you were meant to be. So there it is. 10 clear signs she's not interested in you. No more second guessing, no more chasing mixed signals, no more wasting your time hoping for something that isn't there. The truth is simple: when a woman wants you, you'll feel it. And when she doesn't, you'll feel that too. The strength comes in recognizing it early and choosing your self-respect over confusion. If this video gave you clarity, make sure you subscribe. This channel is about helping men like you stand firm, live with purpose, and never settle for being less than a priority. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.